12. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamana Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sarvajatam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Triyatate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Taptakam Charogangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripe Panchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 12, text 6 through 7. Translation and purport, Sanskrit and translation together. Yetu sarvani karmani mayi sannyasi matsprana annamena yogena mantyayata basate teshamam samudharta mrityu samsara sagara Avani Achirat Bharta Maya Shita Chetasam. Translation. For one who worships me, giving up all his activities unto me, and being devoted to me without deviation, engaged in devotional service and always meditating upon me, who has fixed his mind upon me, O son of Pritha, for him I am the swift deliverer from the ocean of birth and death. Text 8. Mayeva mama atastva mayi buddhim niveshaya nivaishasti mayeva atavurvam nasamshaya. Translation. Just fix your mind upon me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and engage all your intelligence in me. Thus you will live in me always, without a doubt. Text 9. Atachitam samadhatum nashaknoshi mayistiram abhyasa yogina tato mamuchaptum dhananjaya. Translation. My dear Arjuna, O winner of wealth, if you cannot fix your mind upon me without deviation, then follow the regulated principles of Bhakti Yoga. In this way you will develop a desire to attain me. Text 10. Abhyasebhya samartosi makarma paramo bhava madartam apikarmani kurvan siddhim avapsisi. Translation. If you cannot practice the regulations of Bhakti Yoga, then just try to work for me, because by working for me you will come to the perfect stage. Text 11. Ataita apyashatosi kartum yogam ashritaha sarvakama padatyagam tata kuru yudatmavan. Translation. If, however, you are unable to work in this consciousness, then try to act giving up all results of your work and try to be self-situated. Text 12. Shreya hi jnana abhyasaj jnana jnana vishishyate jnana karma pala tyagas tyagas chati nantara. Translation. If you cannot take to this practice, then engage yourself in the cultivation of knowledge. Better than knowledge, however, is meditation, and better than meditation is renunciation of the fruits of action. For by such renunciation one can attain peace of mind. Text 13 through 14. Advishta sarvabhutanam maitrayam indraja nirmamo nyahankara samaduka sukakshami santushta satatam yogi idatma dritha nishchaya mayarpitam no buddhi yomat bhakta samepriya. Translation. One who is not envious, but who is a kind friend to all living entities, who does not think himself of pride, who is free from false ego and equal both in happiness and distress, who is always satisfied and engaged in devotional service with determination, and whose mind and intelligence are in agreement with me, he is very dear to me. Back to text 8. 96. Wait, did we go to 18 or 16? 16. Okay. So 6 and 7. For one who worships me, giving up all his activities unto me, and being devoted to me without deviation, engaged in devotional service and always meditating upon me, who has fixed his mind upon me, O son of Pritha, for him I am the swift deliverer from the ocean of birth and death. Purport. It is explicitly stated here that the devotees are very fortunate to be delivered very soon from material existence by the Lord. In pure devotional service, one comes to the realization that God is great and that the individual soul is subordinate to Him. His duty is to render service to the Lord. If not, then he will render service to Maya. As stated before, the Supreme Lord can only be appreciated by devotional service. Therefore, one should be fully devoted. One should fix his mind fully on Krishna in order to achieve Him. One should work only for Krishna. It does not matter in what kind of work one engages, but the work should be done only for Krishna. That is the standard of devotional service. The devotee does not desire any achievement other than pleasing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. His life's mission is to please Krishna, and he can sacrifice everything for Krishna's satisfaction, just as Arjuna did in the battle of Kurukshetra. The process is very simple. One can devote himself in his occupation and engage at the same time in chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Such transcendental chanting attracts the devotee to the personality of Godhead. The Supreme Lord herein promises that He will, without delay, deliver a pure devotee, thus engaged from the ocean of material existence. Those who are advanced in yoga practice can willfully transfer the soul to whatever planet they like by the yoga process, and others take the opportunity in various ways. But as far as the devotee is concerned, it is clearly stated here that the Lord Himself takes him. He does not need to wait to become very experienced in order to transfer himself to the spiritual sky. In the Varaha Purana, this verse appears. The purport of this verse is that a devotee does not need to practice Ashtanga Yoga in order to transfer his soul to the spiritual planets. The responsibility is taken by the Supreme Lord Himself. He clearly states here that He Himself becomes the deliverer. A child is completely cared for by his parents, and thus his position is secure. Similarly, a devotee does not need to endeavor to transfer himself by yoga practice to other planets. Rather, the Supreme Lord, by His great mercy, comes at once, riding on his bird carrier Garuda, and at once delivers the devotee from the material existence. Although a man who has fallen in the ocean may struggle very hard and may be very expert in swimming, he cannot save himself. But if someone comes and picks him up from the water, then he is easily rescued. Similarly, the Lord picks up the devotee from this material existence. One simply has to practice the easy process of Krishna consciousness and fully engage himself in devotional service. Any intelligent man should prefer the process of devotional service to all other paths. In the Narayaniya, this is confirmed as follows. The purport of this verse is that one should not engage in different processes of fruitive activity or cultivate knowledge by the mental, speculative process. One who is devoted to the Supreme Personality can attain all the benefits derived from the other yoga processes, speculations, ritualistic sacrifice, charities, etc. That is the specific benediction of devotional service. Simply by chanting the holy name of Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. A devotee of the Lord can approach the supreme destination easily and happily. But this destination cannot be approached by any other person's process of religion. The conclusion of Bhagavad Gita is stated in the 18th chapter. Sarvadharma parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarvapapebhyo mokshayishyami ma shucha. One should give up all other processes of self-realization and simply execute devotional service in Krishna consciousness. That will enable one to reach the highest perfection of life. There is no need for one to consider the sinful actions of his past life, because the Supreme Lord fully takes charge of him. Therefore, one should not futilely try to deliver himself in spiritual realization. Let everyone take shelter of the Supreme Omnipotent, Godhead Krishna. That is the highest perfection of life. Maharaj, would you like to speak on this? I'm just going to read it over again. Yeah. Okay, so it is explicitly stated here that the devotees are very fortunate to be delivered very soon from material existence by the Lord. In pure devotional service, one comes to the realization that God is great and that the individual soul is subordinate to Him. His duty is to render service to the Lord. If not, then He will render service somewhere. So we all know that we are very small, and Krishna, being God, He is very great. So it's said here that if you don't serve Krishna, the Lord, then you have to end up serving Maya, or his external potency, and that's true. And it's very true, especially with the impersonalists and the karmis. They're thinking that the impersonalist is thinking, "Oh, I will become God in this life, and I will deliver myself. Oh, I'm just covered by Maya. I'm actually God." And the karmi is thinking, "Oh, I just want to have some fruitive results. I just want to work and get ghee. That's all I want to do." But that's not the right way to go about trying to realize the goal of life. The goal of life is actually to know yourself and know who God is, and know yourself as a spiritual soul, and know God as the supreme spiritual soul. That's the goal of life. That's the goal of life. So when we hear these these impersonal mind bodies, we can say to them that, no, I'm not going to say it. I don't even know what I was going to say, so I'm just going to keep going. As stated before, the Supreme Lord can only be appreciated by devotional service. Therefore, one should be fully devoted. So we should strive to continue in devotional service, no matter what. Whatever service we're giving, whatever troubles may come with it, we should always strive to be fully devoted, like Prabhupada says. Even if, like I said, even if there's difficulties, the only way to get through it is by devotional service, by chanting Hare Krishna. If we experience anxiety, then we can chant Hare Krishna to get over it. If we feel depressed, if we feel sad that we're not executing our duties properly, then we can chant Hare Krishna to get out of it. And it's very easy. You just have to chant 16 words, 32 syllables. But it's very sublime, because let's say you're feeling anxious or you're feeling sad. Let's say you're feeling sad. If you do kirtan, if you're like really fired up kirtan, you all remember Valmiki's kirtans, but his kirtans are always like really fast paced and very upbeat. And there's no way you can be unhappy when you listen to a kirtan like that. Similarly, when we're feeling a little tight-chested, then we can just simply chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Hare Rama, Hare. And then you can get over this anxiety very quickly. It might take a few rounds, it might take a few beats, it might take however long it takes, but eventually it'll go away. That's the best way to get out of this anxiety. But we should be fully devoted. We should want to always be in Krishna's service, because there's no other way. Yeah, go ahead.
You can continue to have a second call. I'll do so. Is that okay?
You can make fine.
I was just going to add on that, okay, we chant, and then we hear ourselves chanting, and then that chanting brings remembrance of Krishna. And so that takes away the anxiety, because instead of focusing on something that's material, we're changing our focus to Krishna.
Yeah. That's very true. Thank you so much. But full devotion is what we're after. Anything less than 100% surrender to Krishna, Krishna won't accept. Because it says in the Bhagavad Gita, and even in this purport, Prabhupada says, Sarvadharman parityaja, mamekam sharanam vrajam, aham tvam sarvapapebhyo moksha yishyami ma shucha. So this is the consciousness that we need to be in, that I will make it back through my devotional service, through my determination, through my determination, whatever I can do, through my determination, I will make it in devotional service. As far as I can go, the best that I can do, that much I'll do, but the rest is up to Krishna. So we'll try our best. If it doesn't work out, that's fine. We'll chant Hare Krishna. If it does work out, that's fine. We'll chant Hare Krishna. And if it doesn't work out, then we won't blame Krishna. But if it doesn't work out, we'll blame ourselves. But if it does work out, then we'll praise Krishna. That's the best way to act in these situations. So we'll move on. One should fix his mind fully on Krishna in order to achieve him. One should work only for Krishna. It does not matter in what kind of work one engages, but that work should be done only for Krishna. That is the standard of devotional service. The devotee does not desire any achievement other than pleasing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. His life's mission is to please Krishna, and he can sacrifice everything for Krishna's satisfaction. So this is very true. This one sentence is very nice. He can sacrifice everything for Krishna's satisfaction. So there's followers of Lord Shiva, and then there's followers of Lord Vishnu. Followers of Lord Shiva, usually they're very materialistic. But followers of Lord Vishnu, they're materially bereft of riches, usually, but sorry, let me just keep reading. Please Krishna, and he can sacrifice everything for Krishna's satisfaction. Just as Arjuna did in the battle of Kurukshetra. The process is very simple. One can devote himself in his occupation and engage at the same time in chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So this is very instructive to us, because we need to chant Hare Krishna whenever we're doing these services. That's the best way to stay transcendental, whether that's kirtan, whether that's japa, whether that's hearing Prabhupada's lectures, talking about the holy name, or whatever it is. The best way to do our service is by staying transcendental, and the best way to stay transcendental is by chanting Hare Krishna. It's a very simple process, but it's very sublime. You learn a lot while doing it. Such transcendental chanting attracts the devotee to this personality of Godhead. The Supreme Lord herein promises that he will without delay deliver a pure devotee thus engaged from the ocean of material existence. Krishna will help us if we simply take shelter of his holy name. That's what this sentence is talking about. How if we simply chant his holy name, then we will be delivered from the ocean of material existence. Those who are advanced in yoga practice can willfully transfer the soul to whatever planet they like by the yoga process, and others take the opportunity in various ways. But as far as the devotee is concerned, it is clearly stated here that the Lord himself takes him. He does not need to wait to become very experienced in order to transfer himself to the spiritual sky. In the Varaha Purana, this verse appears. The purport of this verse is that a devotee does not need to practice Ashtanga Yoga in order to transfer his soul to the spiritual planets. So, there's no need for these bodily exercises. We don't need to sit in a proper way. We don't have to focus on our breathing. We don't have to speculate on speculate on what the absolute truth might be. We just have to read Prabhupada's books, and like that, we just have to read Prabhupada's books, and eventually we go back home. Chant Hare Krishna, of course, that's always there. But this is is very instructive because it's telling us that that He Himself becomes the deliverer. So the Lord personally Himself comes to take the devotee out of the material existence. And that's what we want. We want Krishna to help us out of this bewildering situation that we find ourselves in. Continuing in the purport. A child is completely cared for by his parents, unless his position is secure. Similarly, a devotee does not need to endeavor to transfer himself by yoga practice to other planets. Rather, the Supreme Lord, by His great mercy, comes at once, riding on His bird carrier, Garuda, and at once delivers the devotee from this material existence. Although a man who has fallen in the ocean may struggle very hard and may be very expert in swimming, he cannot save himself, no matter how much we try. If we don't have Krishna's grace, then we can't go back to the spiritual world. It's as simple as that. How can we gain Krishna's grace though? We just have to do a little service, do a little prasadam taking, chant a little Hare Krishna, and try to please the spiritual master. That's the secret to spiritual life, is trying to please the spiritual master. But it's trying to please the spiritual master. That's the only way to gain Krishna's favor. So when we go about doing our service, we should always think, is this what my spiritual master wants from me? Am I doing this to the best of my ability? Can I do it better? Make plans for Krishna. Make a schedule. Do practical things in order to make yourself more efficient in Krishna's service. Going on with the purport. But if someone comes and picks him up from the water, then he is easily rescued. Similarly, the Lord picks up the devotee from this material existence. One simply has to practice the easy process of Krishna consciousness and fully engage himself in devotional service. Any intelligent man should always prefer the process of devotional service to all other paths. In the Narayaniya, this is confirmed as follows. The purport of this verse is that one should not engage in the different processes of fruitive activity or cultivate knowledge by the mental, speculative process. One who is devoted to the Supreme Personality can attain all the benefits derived from other yogic processes. So this is giving us impetus to actually follow through with devotional service. It says here that one should not engage in the different processes of fruitive. And before this sentence it says that there's a lot of impetus in these few sentences, that the process is easy, that a person who is devoted to the Supreme Personality can attain all the benefits derived from other yogic processes. So, Sayuja Mukti, Paramatma realization, mystic powers, and then ultimately the Supreme Abode. So this is very helpful for us to understand, to try to become pure devotees, because, and it's also very it's instructive on why we should become devotees, pure devotees of the Lord. Continuing on. That is a specific benediction of devotional service. Simply by chanting the holy name of Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. A devotee of the Lord can approach the supreme destination easily and happily, but this destination cannot be approached by any other process of religion. So we hear a lot from, especially from different religions or spiritual practices, that, especially from the people who worship Christ, that you can't deliver yourself by works only. So we hear this very often. And I was talking with I was talking with a devotee one time, and that devotee was saying that, yeah, that's true. We don't say that work will save you, but we say that work and devotion saves a person from suffering.
Actually, I wanted to ask about this. Prabhupada makes a statement just before what you read, which was that it doesn't matter in which way it doesn't matter what work one does, as long as he does it to try to please Krishna. So this is confusing to me because it seems that there's so many rules and guidelines which dictate how we work in Krishna consciousness.
So you're asking if it's more.
It doesn't matter what was working on Shudra or Vaishya or Kshatriya or Brahmana.
So does that answer your question?
Yeah. Thank you very much, Marsh. I was just confused about sometimes devotees, they start out like doing anything and everything, of course not really within the Varnashram system, and do it with the spirit of devotion. And but then that gets informed, the devotee gets informed that there's certain activities which are actually pleasing to the spiritual master. So I was just trying to understand if it was kind of a fair game to do anything and everything, but it seems that means within the context of the scriptures.
Right. If anybody else has any questions, they can raise their hand and you can ask. So we'll continue with the purport. A devotee of the Lord can approach the supreme destination easily and happily, but this destination cannot be approached by any other process of religion. The devotee, he becomes spiritualized, but this destination cannot be approached by. Yeah. So these other philosophies, they're all correct. Not all, because impersonalism Not really, not the modern. The real impersonalism, I don't even know. But for the most part, like the major spiritual paths in this world, like Christianity, Islam, and Hinduism, or Christian, I don't know. But yeah, Hinduism. So these paths, they all have certain truths in them, but they're not perfectly giving the absolute truth, which means that they're not stressing, even though they have a good goal, and their goal is correct, love of God and serving God. But the followers of these different sects of spiritual paths, they've twisted the words of their predecessors, and eventually it's left with just a cheating religion. So I'll just continue with the purport. The conclusion of Bhagavad Gita is stated in the 18th chapter. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva pabebhyo mokshayishyami ma shucha. One should give up all other processes of self-realization and simply execute devotional service in Krishna consciousness. That will enable one to reach the highest perfection of life. There is no need for one to consider the sinful actions of his past life because the Supreme Lord fully takes charge of him. Therefore, one should not futilely try to deliver himself in spiritual realization. Let everyone take shelter of the Supreme Omnipotent Godhead, Krishna. That is the highest perfection of life. So this is like sum and substance of all Vedic literatures. Like, surrender to Krishna. Even if you don't want to do something, like, you have to do it, because that's what Krishna wants. He wants us to be surrendered to Him. Even if you can't do something, even if you're totally not confident, if you have orders from your spiritual master and you try your best to follow those orders, then you can't lose. There's no way. You can't lose, because you're being backed by the Parampara, and Krishna himself is one of our acharyas. So if God himself is a spiritual master in this line of disciplic succession, then how can one possibly fall down if they simply just try to execute the orders of their spiritual master? That's what I've been. Yeah, that's what we should be doing. We should try our best to execute. We should try our best to we should try our best to understand what the spiritual master is saying to us, and we should try to do that and follow that order. That's what's going to take us back home, back to Godhead. Not our own strength, not our own whimsy, not our own speculations, not our own anything, but just simply being the humble servant of the servant of the servant, of the maintainer of the gopis of Raj. So it's 8:15. If nobody has any questions, I can keep reading. Maybe we'll finish this last purport. Okay. Text 8. Just fix your mind upon me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and engage all your intelligence in me. Thus you will live in me always, without a doubt. Purport. One who is engaged in Lord Krishna's devotional service lives in a direct relationship with the Supreme Lord. So there is no doubt that his position is transcendental from the very beginning. A devotee does not live on the material plane. He lives in Krishna. The holy name of the Lord and the Lord are not different. Therefore, that's really important. The holy name of the Lord and the Lord are not different. So, taking that into consideration, we should chant the holy name very attentively. This is basically Prabhupada giving us a summary of the holy name and Krishna himself, that the holy name of the Lord and the Lord are non-different. Therefore, when a devotee chants Hare Krishna, Krishna and his internal potency are dancing on the tongue of the devotee. When he offers Krishna food, Krishna directly accepts these eatables, and the devotee becomes Krishnaized by eating the remnants. One who does not engage in such service cannot understand how this is so, although this is a process recommended in the Gita and other Vedic literatures. So it's very simple, you simply sing kirtan, you simply chant Hare Krishna, you simply offer food, offer prasadam to Krishna, take that prasadam, take food that's been offered to Krishna, and eventually you will become spiritualized through this process, and it works. I have personal experience, because before a devotional service, I don't know about you guys, but I was just a mess. But now that I'm here, it's so much nicer because I have devotees, and I also have, I have so many things. I don't want to talk about myself so much, but it's a very nice process, and it takes some time before some friction starts to build up. But after some time, it really makes you just. That's what Prabhupada would say to anywhere he went in India. You just take a look at these boys. They were addicted to all the pillars of sinful life, meaning intoxication, gambling, and illicit sex. But now you see them, they're clean shaven, they're clean externally and internally, they're chanting Hare Krishna, they're dancing ecstatically, they've changed their ways, and we see that in every single person who follows Krishna consciousness rigidly, that they have changed 100%, 110%. So let's just keep engaging in devotional service and go back home back to God. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.